Hey, I'm the Tailorette, and I'm gonna share with you how I run my sewing business. Let me start off by saying that I do not claim to be Bill Gates that has made every mistake in business. However, I have had some experience with how to make money doing what I love to do. I'm just gonna speak from my own common sense. I did not read other articles on how I'm supposed to do this. I'm just gonna share what I do, and you can take it or leave it if you want to. Let's say you are a single person and you need to make $65,000 to live on your own. Now, how I would do this is I would say, okay, this is how much I need to make per year. How many of the product that I am making do I need to make per month, per week, per day in order to reach that goal? To figure out how much you need to produce, have it all laid out, then you can figure out, is that even possible? Is it possible within even a 9-to-5 job to be able to make all of that product? Because here's the big mistake that a lot of entrepreneurs make is they say, oh, I can do that in a week. I could produce this amount. And they're working 12 hours, 6 days a week, sometimes 7. And that is just not practical. Your sanity is not there and your social life is not there. So really, it's important to treat this as a normal job. When I first started working for myself, I'm like, this is great. I could do my work in my pajamas, which is great. Some people do that and it works for them. However, for me, the problem is I would kind of wake up whenever and start my work whenever, and it would go later after dinner. It would do all this stuff. There's a lot of problems with operating that way. One, your friend group will think that you're available whenever. And when you tell people that, hey, it's great, I work for myself, I can manage my own time and I can do whatever I want, whenever I want. Now, all your friends think, oh, she's available for coffee at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. in the afternoon, and we could stop for lunch during the week. This is no big deal. She works from home. Her work is flexible. And for me, I ended up doing that sort of thing. In the middle of the day, I would start to go out with people, spend time with my friends because they had a different schedule. And before I knew it, I was not getting everything done that I needed to get done. And I was not working an 8-hour-a-day job. I was basically working 4 hours this day, 7 hours this day, 10 hours that day, and then none of my goals would be met. Biggest thing is setting a boundary for yourself with other people and saying, you know what, from 9 to 5, I'm busy. But anytime before then or after and on the weekends, just like everybody else, I'm available. And you have to be very strict with yourself because it's very easy to take advantage of that. It's on very rare occasions that I would break that rule or I would fit it into my schedule. The hardest part about being an entrepreneur is being your own boss because you're the only one holding yourself accountable and you can do whatever you want, which means you could be irresponsible without even knowing it. So it's important to follow some guidelines and you're going to figure out for yourself, which also leads me to using your calendar. When you're an entrepreneur, use your calendar. Now, I'm going to tell you, I am not a left brain person. I am not a checklist type person, but I have a calendar and I got to a point where I use Google Calendar. I literally scheduled before I got married and I was working full time on my sewing business. I scheduled every single hour of my day. So I'd wake up and say, I'm eating breakfast from 6 to 7. And once that's done, I give myself a 10-minute slot in between there to clean up breakfast and go up to my sewing room and start work. And then I literally put down the calendar, I'm starting work at 7:10 and lunch starts at noon. So from 7:10 to noon, I am working on making a dress to sell because some dresses can take 4 hours and I can do that in the morning. So that has to be done by lunch from beginning to end. I have lunch for an hour. I need to get off at 1. So from 1 to 5, I'm doing this filming for this project, or I started cutting out this project and I'll literally put that on my Google Calendar. I'll say, cut out Civil War dress, or make mock-up for da-da-da. And that has to be done by the end of that time slot on my Google Calendar. So that might sound ridiculous, but it actually gives you direction during the day because when you're an entrepreneur and you work from home and you're a creative, you'll find that you're just gonna wake up and be like, what do I feel like doing versus what do I need to do? I really want to start this new project because I'm really excited about this creativity and putting this in my shop. But when you have it all written down on a calendar, for one, you actually get things done, but you also don't wake up wondering what you're supposed to do. This makes your to-do list a lot more realistic, which also leads me to you need to time your projects. Say you want to make a 50s dress to sell. You need to time how long that's going to take you. Say that takes you 8 hours from start to finish. That is an 8-hour day. So then you can say, this one day I'm making one 50s dress. Or you can time how long it takes you to make a mock-up as well. And so when you put a mock-up on your schedule, you know, this takes me 3 hours to do a mock-up, or it takes me 2 hours, however long it takes you to do that. You can put that on your calendar and you know that you'll get it done. You're not going, I'll bet you I can do it. It's like, that never worked for me. That bet you I can do it, it doesn't work. When I'm focused, nothing else is in view but that project. I can't even do it even though I'm very focused. Especially since I'm a stay-at-home mom, time is very precious. And I have 2 hours a day while my kids are napping, and I have an hour before they wake up in the morning to do some projects. So I have to figure out, I have 3 hours a day, and I have everything timed out of how long it takes me to do that. So when my kids are awake, I don't have this nagging thing in the back of my head of like, I need to go up in my sewing room and start working. I have it literally scheduled on my calendar that this is going to be done by the end of this week. And this is what is realistic for me as a stay-at-home mom. This is going to lead me to managing your process of how you make your product. Now, this was a huge turning point for me when I learned about this. Is not only do you time how long it takes you to make a product, you can say, okay, this takes me 10 hours to make this dress. Are there machines or tools that I'm missing that could actually make this process go half the amount of time? So like my serger there in the background, that serges all of my seams. And now I'm not doing French seams anymore, which a French seam has what? It has like 4 steps to it. This serger has 1 step. So instead of doing all of that work, sewing, pressing, sewing, and pressing, all I do is sew and press. And that's half the amount of time. And think about that is on probably 70% of the seams of my dresses. Now I've cut down a huge amount of time. You're probably talking, I've cut 40% of my time off. So now, not only does it not take me 10 hours anymore, it actually takes me 6 hours. So now I have a higher hourly rate that I am making because I have purchased this tool. And you need to see if that's worth it to go on to the next piece of equipment that's going to further your business. And you know for sure that you need it because there's a demand for it in your business. Also, another tool that I got that cut down my time was using a fabric saw. That cut down my time huge because cutting out one dress took me an hour and a half. So now I am able to stack 10 dresses at a time, all of their linings, outer layers, everything, and I'm able to cut them all in one sitting. So all I do is stack all my fabrics, I put the pattern pieces on top and I cut it with a fabric saw. I basically am taking off 10 times the amount of work, probably more like 8 times because I have to account for time of stacking the fabrics. But it's about, I'm taking 8 times the amount of time it takes me off of my time, which gives me an even higher hourly rate. So you want to think about those things when you're actually producing something to sew. I used to do 100% custom for everybody, and I would have some dresses on the side that I would sell. However, custom does take a lot more time. My dad used to say all the time that there is no money in custom. There is, but there actually technically is no money in custom if you're wanting to make big money. So here's the deal with doing custom orders. So say you're selling bags, for instance, and someone says, hey, I love your bags, I love your work, but I want to send you my own fabric. And can you add this extra band around here to add a little accent here and do a little tuck here? Or can you add an extra handle? Here's the deal. It's not just as simple as I just added another handle. The problem is now you've got the customer service. So now you're going back and forth with customer service. That's taking hours off of your time. Say that one band that they want to add on and they sent you weird fabric that doesn't work. Now you've got to work with that material to see how to make it look right. And now your bag that used to take 4 hours is now taking you 8. I still do some custom because there are some projects that I really love to do. And I have some loyal customers that I love to do work for. And I just love working for them. But that's my choice. And I'm a stay-at-home mom, so I have the freedom to be able to do that. And because I have a YouTube channel, I just use those custom projects as videos, and I'll do some demonstrations with those dresses. So it's like a hit 2 birds with 1 stone type of situation. So the next point I'm going to get to is do your numbers before you start selling a product. I've kind of covered this already with some of my other points, but I'm going to be a little bit more articulate in this point. You need to count your costs. You need to see how much does it cost me to make this product from the beginning, from the materials to the shipping. Say you need a particular box to ship it in, or you need a bag to package it in, or you need a printer, you need ink for that. So you need to calculate literally every little detail. How much does taxes cost? Etsy fees if you're doing Etsy, or if you have a website, those fees, wherever the fees are coming from, you need to calculate every little detail. I think this is where a lot of entrepreneurs go wrong, is they just say, oh, I made this much on this dress. I made $200 on this dress. And really, they have a wonderful business. People love them because they're very good at what they do and their packages are amazing. But the thing is, if they spent a decent amount of money on a good presentation when people open the box to get their dress. And after all of this, it all adds up, and even the customer service adds up, and now your time is being swallowed up and you're not making a lot of money and you end up getting burned out. So count every single little cost that goes into the whole process. Don't just think about the sewing project. Think about everything involved, because let's be honest, you guys, we're all artists here and we're all the poor starving artists. Maybe not all of us, maybe some of you are not, but I feel like I've always fallen in that category of I'm totally fine with being the poor starving artist. But I think that's partly because an artist is so passionate about their work and they want to present the best to people that they end up cutting themselves short on the cost of labor as well. And this is one thing I'm going to get to is do not let people manipulate you into feeling that you're too expensive. I think it is important to see what the going rate is for most things and see where your market is, which is going to lead me to my next point. Evaluate your market. See if your product is even sellable online. Is there a huge competition for it, or are people charging not enough? And there are those poor starving artists out there that love what they do. They're only making a 20% on each product, which is not very much. So you need to do all of that math yourself, that just because Etsy has thousands of pincushions out there and you want to sell thousands of pincushions doesn't mean that it's worth it. Or just because it's not being provided on Etsy doesn't mean it's worth it either. Because there could be a reason why it's not on there is because it's not worth anybody's time. But you need to go and do that homework and see if it's worth it. But also have your market. See where your market is. What is your customer? Is your customer a very expensive customer? Are you a historical? You want the historically accurate people who are picking on every seam that is in there? Or are you looking for somebody for your market where people enjoy going to events, but they want to look beautiful and it doesn't matter to them about the historical details that are inside the garment? Also, advertise to the right market too, because a lot of people just start throwing stuff out there. And I think I kind of fall into this category. I'm still trying to figure out where I'm landing as a stay-at-home mom. Like, am I going to focus on wedding dresses? Am I still going to do historical, or am I going to do both? Which I think both are two different markets. So you kind of have to land on one niche. What is your niche? My niche for the longest time has been Regency dresses. I am known for the Regency dress that I make. So for you, if you love the Edwardian era, focus on that. Hone in on that one little niche that people love to dress in that. And there's billions of people in this world. And if you think there's not enough people out there, good grief. There's plenty of people out of billions, even if there's 1% or 0.5%. That's more than a full living right there. If you figure out how to provide for that market. The biggest thing that I would not recommend is doing several different things. So say like, okay, you love making pincushions, but now you have Edwardian dresses on there and now you have bags. People are going to be confused. Or okay, so for me, when I think about buying my clothes, I'm like, I love bright colors. Who does bright colors? Who does artsy, creative, European type style clothing? I'm going to go to Boden, for instance. I love their colors. They're very bright and I go to them for that. But I'm not one that would go straight to Banana Republic, because Banana Republic isn't known for their bright colors, but I am that niche market that they're like, hey, Boden's like, we're serving you who loves artsy, creative, bright colors. So if you're a sewing business, you're not going to go, and this falls under the same thing of reaching your market. But when they think about buying an Edwardian dress, they don't go to Facebook Marketplace. Think in your customer's shoes. Where would you go as an Edwardian dress customer? You want an Edwardian dress. Are you going to Facebook to see if they have that? Or are you going to Etsy? Are you Googling it? So figure out where people are looking for you and where you would look for that. And that's where you're going to reach your market. So you're probably wondering and waiting for me to get to finances, because we all know that as creatives, finances are not our favorite thing. That's why we're doing creative things, because we're more right-brained. So basically, before I got married, I did QuickBooks Self-Employed. That just brought all of my bank accounts to one spot, and I was able to label everything directly what it was related to. It just lays it out for you. So I would recommend QuickBooks Self-Employed. That is if you are a one-person run business. However, if you start growing and you get employees and stuff, I would really get an accountant for that sort of thing. And I know that sounds big, like, oh man, I gotta hire an accountant now. This is too stressful. It's like, no, it actually takes off a huge weight off of your back, and it allows you to be able to make more money, because doing your finances, it's an actual official job. Like, there's people who do accounting for a living for a reason, because it takes up a lot of time. And I'm sure if you were to sit there after you hired 3 people and you were going to start counting down how many hours you're putting in on managing your finances, you're going to find that you're spending a lot of time on your finances. And that's not what you signed up for, right? You're not wanting to do the finances. So hire that out when you start getting bigger. Hopefully I didn't ramble on too much. I am now a stay-at-home mom, as I've mentioned in this video. So a lot of my time has been cut down. I'm not doing this full time. However, I still use these same principles, but I have scaled down my business quite a bit. This is why I got into the sewing world even when I was single, because I knew I wanted to be a mom and I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom and I wanted to work from home. So I set up this business so that if I needed to scale down really big, I could. If you have any questions, please like this video if you found it helpful, give it a thumbs up, and hit that subscribe button if you want to watch my business in action.